Have you ever noticed something strange about time? It never slows down for you. It never waits until you feel ready. It never asks if you're tired, confused, or broken. It just keeps moving. Maybe you've told yourself, I'll start when things calm down. Maybe you've said, I just need more motivation. Maybe you've promised yourself, tomorrow will be different. But tomorrow keeps coming, and nothing changes. If that sounds familiar, this story is for you. Because once, there was a man who blamed everything in his life, except the one thing that was actually controlling it. 25 years ago, in a noisy city where life never slowed down, there lived a boy named Armin. Armin wasn't lazy. He was intelligent, creative, full of ideas. But Armin had a habit that quietly shaped his entire future. He always waited. He waited to feel ready. He waited to feel confident. He waited for the perfect moment, and that moment never came. Armin grew up in a small apartment above his father's watch repair shop. Every single morning at 6 a.m., the same sound filled the house. Tick, 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 the sound of watches being opened. Time being examined. Time being respected. His father, a quiet man with steady hands, fixed watches for a living. Rain or heat, weekday or holiday. At exactly 6 a.m., the shop lights were always on. Armin hated mornings. Papa, why do you wake up so early? He asked one day, barely opening his eyes. Customers don't even come this early. His father didn't look up. He adjusted a tiny gear and said calmly, because time doesn't wait for customers. Armin didn't understand. As Armin grew older, his dreams grew bigger. He wanted success, freedom, respect. But when it was time to work, I'll start after exams. I'll start next month. I'll start when I feel motivated. While his father opened the shop every morning without fail, Armin slept. He believed discipline was for boring people. He believed passion was enough. At 19, Armin moved out for college. Freedom felt incredible. No alarms, no routines, no rules. He skipped morning classes. Assignments were always rushed. Ideas were started with excitement and abandoned with excuses. Still, Armin told himself one thing. I have time. Years passed quietly. Armin graduated late. He changed jobs often. He started projects and never finished them. Every failure came with an explanation. The timing wasn't right. I wasn't in the right mindset. I just need motivation. At 27, Armin sat alone in his apartment at midnight, endlessly scrolling on his phone. Unpaid bills, unfinished dreams, a growing sense of regret. He looked at the clock. 12 a.m., and suddenly a sound from his childhood echoed in his mind. Tick, tick, tick. A few days later, Armin received a call. His father had fallen sick. Nothing life-threatening, but serious enough. Armin went home. The watch shop felt quieter now. Older, slower. But one thing hadn't changed. At 6 a.m., the lights were on. Armin walked downstairs, surprised. Papa, you should rest, he said. You're not well. His father smiled softly. I'll rest when the shop is open. That morning, Armin sat in the corner watching. Customer after customer came. Broken watches. Stopped clocks. Time that needed care. At noon, Armin finally asked the question burning inside him. Papa, how did you do this every day for so many years? His father didn't answer immediately. He finished repairing the watch in his hands, closed it gently and placed it on the counter. Then he looked at Armin and said, because the clock doesn't care how I feel. Armin frowned. What do you mean? His father picked up a broken clock and held it out. This clock doesn't care if I'm tired. It doesn't care if I'm sick. It doesn't care if I'm unmotivated. If I don't show up, it stays broken. He paused. Life is the same. That night, Armin couldn't sleep. The ticking sound echoed in his head. Tick, tick, tick. For the first time, he realized something painful. His father wasn't disciplined because he felt like it. He was disciplined because things fall apart when you don't show up. The next morning, Armin set an alarm. 5:30 a.m., not to impress anyone, not for motivation, just to prove something to himself. When the alarm rang, his body begged him to stay in bed. You're tired. You can start tomorrow. One day won't matter. But then he remembered his father's words. The clock doesn't care how you feel. He got up. Day 2 was harder. Day 5 was worse. Day 10 felt impossible. Some mornings he felt strong. Most mornings he didn't. But he showed up anyway. Not perfectly. Not heroically. Just consistently. Something strange began to happen. He stopped waiting to feel ready. He stopped negotiating with himself. He worked for one focused hour every morning. No phone, no excuses, just presence. After 30 days, he had more progress than the last 3 years combined. After 60 days, confidence returned. Not because life got easier, but because he stopped running from discomfort. Armin applied this rule everywhere. Exercise, learning, saving money, relationships. Not when he felt motivated, but because time didn't care. 1 year later, Armin wasn't famous. He wasn't rich, but he was reliable. And that changed everything. Opportunities came to people who showed up. 3 years later, Armin owned a business. 5 years later, he walked into his father's shop early one morning. 6 a.m. The lights were on. This time, Armin unlocked the door. Years later, Armin woke his young son gently. "Come," he whispered. "Let's go." His son groaned. "Papa, I'm tired." Armin smiled and said, "I know, but the clock doesn't care. This story is not about watches. It's not about waking up early. It's about this truth. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is mechanical. Feelings change. Time doesn't. So here's your challenge. Choose one small promise. Just one. And keep it, even when you don't feel like it. Because your future doesn't care about excuses. It only asks one question. Did you show up? If this story hit you, like it. Share it with someone who keeps waiting. And comment one promise you'll keep. Starting tomorrow. Remember, the clock doesn't care, but your life does.